Durability in video games is such a hit or miss mechanic due to how situational it can be at times. So in this video, I'll go through its usage in many different video games across many different genres, and give my reasons as to why it does or doesn't work and why. To start off on a good note, I'll list what I think are the two golden standards of durability in video games. First off, Minecraft, a game about mining, crafting, all that fun stuff. Now, durability works in this game because it really doesn't inflate its difficulty or challenge or make it more annoying to play. Minecraft's randomly generated worlds are practically infinite, so getting materials is never a hassle. You start with nothing, and then after some tree punching, you can get wood tools. Practically minutes later, you can get stone tools without hassle. Once you get stone, you can get iron. It may take a minute to find a cave or an ore deposit, but once you get iron, you're set for a good majority of your playthrough. Iron is one of the most common ores to find as well, so you won't have trouble replacing broken tools if anything happens. Each tool has a set durability, and it's easy to tell when you're about to run out. Heck, you could argue that durability actually pushes the player to go out and see what their world has to offer. Maybe in the process, they'll find new structures and biomes and maybe even diamonds. Once you finally get those diamonds, along with some enchantment tables and anvils and so forth, you can basically negate the durability mechanic entirely. Diamond tools take forever to break, almost making durability obsolete on its own, but if you get unbreaking and mending books to slap onto everything, you never have to worry about making any tools again. Bonus points if you're going for full netherite gear. Overall, Minecraft is able to make durability integral to the early game, while also removing the penalties once the player gets geared up so they can focus on exploring or building or whatever comes to mind. It's a nice balance that is so simple, yet so effective. On the other side of the spectrum, we have Fire Emblem. Everyone claims the series rooted in Smash Bros. With simple generic sword characters, despite the games they hail from requiring some of the most critical thinking I've ever seen in a Nintendo series. I said some. Now, durability is something that you gotta worry about from start to finish. Compared to other JRPGs, money and experience are usually finite. You can only buy so many weapons and gain so many levels in a run. Now, because each Fire Emblem game handles durability different, I'll use the Game Boy Advance titles as an example, since the mechanics are more or less the same. Now, there are over 100 weapons across these games, so I'll use swords as an example, starting with the three basic ones: iron, steel, and silver. Iron swords are low damaging weapons that are fairly cheap, almost always available to buy, and can be used 46 times before breaking. As we go up the tiers, the weapons do more damage, but cost more, aren't always available to buy, and are less durable, adding some boons and banes to each purchase. This is before accounting for the weapon's accuracy, rank required to use it, on top of how much it weighs a unit down, though none of these are really relevant in terms of durability. Then there are other sword variants that add special effects, like improved chances at critical attacks, effectiveness against certain classes, and the plethora of powerful regalia weapons. But this is all on paper, so why not give a proper scenario? Now, Seth here is a very powerful character in the Sacred Stones, being able to clean house pretty much the whole game, especially with these monsters. Right now he has a basic Iron Lance in the Vidofnir, a regalia lance that does extra damage to the monsters. Now in this scenario, it doesn't matter what is used, Seth will rid the map of enemies regardless, but the consequences will differ. The users of both lances will be low by the end, but while the Iron Lance can be replaced once it's broken, you only get the Vidofnir once a playthrough. By the end of the game, you will have access to a whole slew of weapons, especially ones similar to the Vidofnir, so your options won't be limited, but before that point, the player needs to pick and choose what they equip wisely. That being said, hoarding the whole game isn't the best idea either. Items are meant to be used after all. So like Minecraft, Fire Emblem's usage of durability is very important to the early game, but instead of having ways to stop durability permanently, the game throws the player enough bones when it comes to special weapons, whether it be through chests, armories, or endgame events. So far we've gone over two games I think have demonstrated how durability can spice up a game's formula in a positive light, with Minecraft's open-ended adventures and Fire Emblem's strict and usually linear gameplay. So with the good out of the way, let's just dive into the bad, shall we? Breath of the Wild. Every weapon in this game breaks so freaking quickly. You can't buy or repair weapons, most of them are just doo-doo anyway, and I can't even see how many uses I have left. Just a hey, you're low, and then 2 hits later, bam! This annoying system is practically half the reason I stopped playing after beating 2 Divine Beasts. As much as I despise how Breath of the Wild handles durability, I admittedly can't elaborate more than that. So my friend Robert's gonna help me out here. He's a huge Zelda fan who's beaten and sunk in many hours in the Breath of the Wild, so the rest of this section is his thoughts. Take it away. Okay, early game is annoying as heck because the king was like, oh, do whatever you want after the Great Plateau, which is a big lie. Weapon durability is basically a progression cap, intentionally or not. You aren't killing any Lionels with the early weapons, which means you're stuck with these bad weapons unless you're lucky enough to kill the rare Yiga clan member or find an elemental sword just lying around. In my case, I just ran around Hyrule Castle, collected all the royal weapons, and got the heck out. As a consequence, the game tried rapidly scaling its enemies up to me, which stinks when you start getting white bokoblins and your weapons start breaking as stronger enemies appear. They also start to become damage sponges too. Their AI doesn't get any smarter, they just get bulkier, and you have to go through 4 weapons to kill a white bokoblin with the same AI as its early game equivalent. Also, the Master Sword should be a lot stronger. For one, it makes zero sense that the Sword of Legend only does 30 damage unless you're in specific parts of Hyrule, and the fact that it runs out of charge like an iPhone 5 is just dumb. I get Nintendo wants to push players to use other weapons, but still. I'm not asking for a godly amount of power, but it should do more damage and not have the recharge so that it's a reliable backup weapon at best if they don't want it to be broken. And yeah, that's my stance on durability. Thank you for your help, Robert, and let's move on. Another game that does durability horribly is Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Now you may be asking, wait a minute, Call of Duty is a shooter game, there's no durability, and to that point you are horribly mistaken. On the Zombies map Transit, there is a map exclusive weapon called the Thrustodyne Aeronautics Model 23, aka the jet gun. By holding down the shoot button, the jet gun's engine will suck zombies in and shred them to bits. This may sound intriguing at first, but it really is one of the worst weapons across the entire zombie series. For one, the way to acquire it is very obtuse, requiring the player to travel to 4 locations across the map before building. To make matters worse, the player is only allowed to carry one part at a time. After building the jet gun, it takes up the buildable slot instead of a weapon and has infinite uses, which is again pretty nifty, but every negative outweighs these positives tenfold. You can't run with it. Killing zombies yield no points, and it can only be used for 6 seconds before needing to spend a full minute and 40 seconds cooling it down. You also must have it equipped if you want it to cool, and if you do overheat it, it explodes into a million pieces. You'll then have to recollect the pieces again and build it at the workstation in the town. If you're unlucky and have one of the parts fall into the lava, it'll disappear and respawn at its original location. Apparently, if a part is ran over by the bus, the part disappears from the rest of the match entirely, never respawning. Heck, this gun is so bad that when I tried purposefully overheating it to prove my point, I instead died spraying it into a crowd because the area of effect is so garbage, it's so low. I think Treyarch just wanted to balance the idea of an infinite damage wonder weapon that doesn't take up a weapon slot, but what were they thinking? Hey guys, PretzelMG here again. 2 things I forgot to mention during the collecting portion of this rant. So Transit is infamous for being the biggest map in Call of Duty Zombies, taking up 106 Nocturne totems. Now, to anyone not familiar with that metric, Nocturne Tone is about this big. You know, you're looking at the gameplay, you see very, very small. And then cut back to Transit, bam, 106 of those babies. And I forgot to mention, any part of the map that is not considered a main area is covered with fog and littered with denizens, these little rat flying creature things that scratch the heck out of your character's face. So yeah, game design. While we're on the topic of zombies, prior to Black Ops 3, your character would die in 2 hits. What wimps, not durable at all, 0 out of 10. But you know who does have good durability? Kanji Tatsumi, baby. Now, I think Kanji is a perfect 10 out of 10 character-wise, but a weird out of 10 when it comes to being a tank, because tanks in turn-based JRPGs just don't work, and he is the perfect case. Sure, he has the highest attack and defense out of the entire investigation team, but for a series like Persona that relies on speed, turn order, and knocking down shadows quick, Kanji can't do any of that. Even if the shadows know his weakness, the AI isn't guaranteed to gang up on him. This problem isn't exclusive to him though, because I think fellow Team Tank Ryuji from Persona 5 suffers similar problems. However, I feel Kanji's cons are intensified compared to Ryuji. Keeping on the theme of JRPGs, let's switch to Ness and Lucas from the Mother games. Both boys are the main tanks and healers in their games, and are pretty much last to move in almost every battle minus Kumatora and Paula. They face almost the exact same problems as Kanji, but what I think mitigates their speed is the HP gradually ticking down instead of just being taken from your health bar like in other games. It still comes with its drawbacks, primarily needing to button mash through every prompt just so the PK life up can stop your health from draining. Plus, when Ness and Lucas don't have any party members, the battles can just be one-sided since they'll always be outsped. They're usually never in danger of dying or anything, so it's just an inconvenience and waste of time. But hey, whether or not a character is worth your time or wasting your time, it's always
Rhyme time, baby!
Now, Ryan is how you do a tank, High HP, high defense, his entire game plan is to keep the enemies focused on him, so Shulk can get that backslash, or your allies can get a chance to take down whatever's in your way. Sure, Ricky has comparable health, and Dunban can speed tank by locking on enemies, but by God, this man is peak tank, peak character, peak durability. Now, with all these niche and obscure games no one has heard of out of the way, we need to tackle the titan that is Pokemon. And on a regular playthrough, you can use whatever you want, but Pokemon Showdown is another beast, with threats like Ferrothorn, Blissey, and... oh no. By God, it cannot be. Satan cowers at his name, and God himself is so powerless he feels shame. The Aegis of the Moon and the Bringer of War, Clefable of the Stars. This ruthless bastion has great HP, good special attack, and defense, but its abilities, its abilities. Magic Guard makes it so that stealth rocks and poisoning are but child's play. Unaware ignores any buffs or debuffs to anyone. So that Swords Dance Grass Whistle? Nope. The Contrary Leaf Storm? Nope. Get ready to play by Clefable's rules. And Q-Charm is actually kind of doo-doo in comparison, but that doesn't matter. The fact that Clefairy was considered to be Pokemon's main mascot at one point instead of Pikachu means we were this close to the worst timeline, where instead of a cute yellow mouse being everywhere, we get these pixie sticks capable of transmogrifying into the bane of humanity. By God, it would have been terrible.
Now, the last game I need to mention is Bookworm Adventures. Now, I've never touched the game, but from what I've seen, because you play in a 4x4 grid of 16 letters, it is possible to spell out durability, a 10-letter word. So in this game, durability is used quite well. Thank you.